Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're diving into career reinvention today with Pamela Mitchell's book, The 10 Laws of Career Reinvention.
Got the excerpts right here.
Yeah. Ready to dig in and see what we can uncover?
Absolutely.
So it's interesting, right? This whole idea of a job for life. It feels so normal now, but historically hasn't work always been changing for people?
You're absolutely right. Adaptability, reinvention, it's kind of like built into us.
And these stories in Mitchell's book, wow, they really show that. I mean, a FedEx exec ending up at the CDC, a Wall Street banker who becomes a Food Network star.
Makes you wonder, right?
Makes you wonder if any career change is possible.
Well, that's what we're going to find out. And we'll go beyond just those feel-good stories. We'll break down those strategies, the laws Mitchell talks about.
Oh, I like that.
Consider this your backstage pass to career change.
Love it. Okay, so Mitchell talks about this reinvention mindset. What is that exactly?
It means recognizing that the old company man model, that's fading away. Today's careers, it's all about being a reinventor. Someone who's always adapting, you know?
So ditching the cling to the wreckage and instead build a raft, sail to new horizons kind of thing.
Exactly. And that brings us to Mitchell's first law. Start with a vision for your life. She talks about this guy, Russ Marash, a big-time TV producer. He completely switched gears and became a renovation consultant.
Oh, on TV to renovations. That's a huge change. What made him do that? Was he unhappy in TV?
Not necessarily unhappy, but he wasn't really fulfilled. He produced this old house for years, but what he really loved was the problem solving, the teamwork, not so much the TV side.
Interesting.
So he asked himself, what brings me joy? What work lets me do more of that?
So it's not just about the new job. It's about the kind of life you want. And then finding work that fits into that, like working backward almost.
Exactly. And sometimes that means trusting that gut feeling, even when things don't seem logical. That's where Mitchell's second law comes in. Your body is your best guide. She uses the example of Christina Garza, this TV journalist. She got what seemed like the perfect job offer, but turned it down.
Seriously. Walked away from a dream job because of a gut feeling. I'm sure a lot of people listening have felt that kind of doubt. But what was it about this offer that felt wrong?
Nothing specific, really, just a sense of unease. Deep down, she wanted a calmer lifestyle. The high-pressure TV world, it just wasn't fitting her goals anymore.
So even though it looked great on paper, not right for her long-term happiness, makes you wonder what would happen if she hadn't listened to that inner voice.
Right. It's a big question. And it leads us to something a lot of us struggle with. Excuses, those things we tell ourselves that hold us back. Mitchell's third law is no more excuses. He talks about Jeffrey Ruddle, a really talented artist, but he always hit roadblocks because he didn't have a college degree.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in those limitations, right? I can't do this because.
Yeah.
And then the list just goes on and on. So how did this artist get past that?
He had to be honest with himself. It wasn't really about the degree. It was his belief that he wasn't good enough without it. It was his excuse for not going after what he really wanted.
So the real barrier wasn't external, it was internal. He had to shift his mindset before he could shift his career. This is where it gets really interesting for our listeners. What are the degrees you're telling yourselves you need? What excuses are holding you back?
That's a powerful question, and it brings us perfectly to the next law. This one's all about embracing the unconventional. Law number 4, new roads lead to more opportunity. Mitchell talks about Alton Brown, the Food Network star.
Yeah.
He definitely didn't follow a typical culinary path.
Oh, Alton Brown, love him. He's so unique. What was it about his path that was so different?
Well, he didn't just go to culinary school and climb the restaurant ladder. He took his love of cooking and combined it with his filmmaking background. It was a whole new approach to food TV.
So thinking outside the box, maybe even merging skills and passions to create something totally new. It's like he invented his own niche.
Exactly. That's something to think about. What are your unique strengths? What are those unconventional paths you could explore? The most fulfilling careers sometimes, they're the ones we create ourselves.
Right. It's like being a trailblazer. But on a more practical level, how do you take skills you already have and use them in a totally different field?
That's a great question. And it leads us to Mitchell's fifth law. You've got the tools in your toolbox. She tells the story of Reggie Main, went from a FedEx executive to a leadership role at the CDC.
Wait, packages to public health. How did he make that leap?
He was really good at logistics, moving things efficiently and effectively. He realized those skills were just as important in public health, especially at the CDC.
So it's about looking at your skills from a new angle, seeing how they can be used in a different context, almost like speaking a different language but using the same grammar.
Exactly. So for our listeners, What tools do you have in your toolbox? What skills could you repurpose for a career shift?
Ooh, good one. Makes you think about everything you've learned, how it could be useful in unexpected ways. Now, Mitchell also talks about the importance of support when you're changing careers. This is her sixth law. Your reinvention board is your lifeline. She uses the story of Jeanette Mitchell, a single mom. She built a support network to overcome financial hardship and find success in education.
Yeah, this is so important. It's easy to think you have to do it all alone, but having support can make a world of difference. Think of it like your personal board of directors for your career.
So who'd be on this board? Mentors, friends, family? Who are the people you can count on for guidance, encouragement?
Anyone who believes in you and your vision, they can offer different viewpoints, connect you with resources, and cheer you on when things get tough.
Having that support system, it can be such a game changer when you're going through a big change. It's like having a safety net, people to turn to for advice or just to listen.
Exactly. And it just struck me these first 6 laws, they're all connected. You need a clear vision, you got to trust your gut, overcome those fears, and then surround yourself with people who can help make it happen. It's like a recipe for successful reinvention.
You've got the ingredients, now you need the right steps to put it all together. And that's what we'll be exploring in the next part of our deep dive, those action-oriented laws that help you turn your vision into reality. We'll be right back.
One of the biggest things people get hung up on with career change, it's the fear of the unknown. Like you're at the edge of a forest, no idea what's in there.
It can feel overwhelming, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been in the same field forever. Even if you're not happy, there's that comfort in what you know.
Absolutely. And that's where Mitchell's 7th law comes in. Talk to a native guide. She uses this analogy of exploring a new country. You got to talk to someone who already lives there to really get it. The culture, the customs.
So find people already doing what you want to do. Get their insider perspective. Have you ever had a mentor like that?
Yeah.
Someone who helped you through a tough spot?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Early in my career, I was trying to make a name for myself. It was a super competitive field. And I found someone who had that success I wanted. Their advice, priceless. Helped me avoid those common mistakes, focus on what actually worked.
It's crazy how just one conversation can change everything. But I think a lot of people struggle with networking. It can feel so forced, especially if you're not a super outgoing person. Any tips for making it feel more natural?
I think the key is to change your mindset. Don't go in thinking, what can I get from this person? Go in with curiosity, be generous, focus on learning from them, seeing how you can contribute to the chat. People respond way better when they feel like you're genuinely interested.
So build real connections, not just collect business cards. Takes the pressure off, too, I bet. You're not trying to sell yourself, just have a conversation, learn something new. Speaking of learning, Mitchell's 8th law is all about speaking the language. Sounds kind of basic, but I'm guessing there's more to it than meets the eye.
You got it. It's not just about learning the jargon, though that is important. It's about getting those subtle communication cues within a field, an industry. What are the unspoken rules? What do they value? What's important to them?
Like learning the cultural code, so you don't make a fool of yourself. Mitchell talks about a client of hers. He was going from finance to nonprofit. Kept using all this finance lingo in interviews. Made him seem totally out of touch.
Perfect example. He was speaking the language of his old world, not the one he wanted to be in. Like showing up to a fancy gala in jeans and a t-shirt, not a good look.
So how do you learn the language of a new field? You can't exactly take a class for that.
You got to immerse yourself, read their publications, go to their conferences, listen to their podcasts. But most importantly, talk to the people in that field. The more you're around that language, the more it'll become natural to you.
Just like learning any new language. Practice, practice, practice. And that can be a big advantage in interviews, networking, all that. Shows you've done your homework, you're serious about this switch.
Exactly. It's a sign of respect, understanding, and people pick up on that. Okay, this next law, this is one of my favorites. Mitchell's 9th law, become an idea machine. This is where the real magic happens.
Ooh, idea machine. I like that.
Yeah.
Sounds so creative, innovative. What's it mean, though, for career change?
It means always be generating ideas, exploring different ways of doing things, challenging the status quo, reinventing yourself. It takes you out of that comfort zone. You got to be willing to experiment.
So you're not just following the path, you're making your own. Mitchell has this story about a woman going from marketing to the culinary world. She started brainstorming by really paying attention to food trends, reading restaurant reviews, even trying new recipes at home.
Yes, she was actively looking for inspiration, even in unexpected places. You got to become an idea sleuth. always hunting for new possibilities.
Training your brain to spot opportunities everywhere. And it doesn't have to be these huge game-changing ideas. Sometimes it's the small tweaks, the little adjustments that can make a difference.
You got it. And remember, not every idea is going to be a home run. That's fine. Just keep those ideas flowing. Learn from the ones that don't work out.
It's like that saying, fail fast, fail often. Part of the process.
Exactly. And now for the grand finale. Mitchell's 10th law. Sell the brand called you. This is where you put it all together. Showcase your skills, your experience, those passions in a way that really connects, with employers, clients, whoever.
So this is where those marketing skills come in handy. Got to create a personal brand that shows your unique value.
Exactly. What are you good at? What makes you different? Mitchell talks about making a reinvention resume. Highlight those transferable skills. Tell a story of adaptability, growth.
So it's not just a list of jobs, dates. It's about crafting a narrative.
Yeah.
Show how you've evolved, how your experiences have prepared you for this new direction. Like writing your own career superhero origin story.
Love that. It's like going from Clark Kent to Superman, Diana Prince to Wonder Woman.
Exactly. And it's not just on paper, right? It's how you present yourself in interviews, networking, online, like LinkedIn. You got to own your story. Share it confidently.
And be authentic. People can smell a phony a mile away. Be real, be passionate, let that true self shine through. That's the strongest brand you can build.
That's great advice. But for someone who's been behind the scenes their whole career, putting themselves out there, that can be scary. What are some practical ways to build that confidence? Own your story.
That's a great question, and it leads us perfectly into, well, I think it comes down to practice and preparation. The more you practice talking about your experiences, the more confident you'll become.
So like rehearse your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Think about those stories that highlight your strengths.
Exactly. And be prepared to answer those tough questions. Think about those gaps in your resume or those times you faced challenges and how those experiences actually made you stronger, more adaptable.
It's like turning those perceived weaknesses into strengths.
Right. It's all about reframing the narrative. And don't be afraid to ask for help, Reach out to those mentors, friends, family, practice your pitch with them, get their feedback.
Having that support system can make such a difference, right? They can boost your confidence, give you that outside perspective.
Absolutely. And, going back to what we were talking about earlier, this whole idea of self-awareness, it's really the foundation for successful reinvention. You got to be honest with yourself about what you want, what you're good at, and what you're willing to work for.
Yeah. And it's not always easy, right? It takes some soul searching, some introspection.
It does, but it's so worth it. Because when you're aligned with your purpose, when your work feels meaningful, it's not just a job anymore, it's a passion. And that passion, it's contagious, it shines through. People pick up on that.
So true. So for everyone listening, as you reflect on these 10 laws, what are you taking away? What resonates with you?
Yeah, what are those aha moments you've had? What tools are you excited to put into practice? What new paths are calling to you?
We'd love to hear about your own reinvention journeys. What steps are you taking to create a career and a life that you truly love?
And remember, reinvention isn't about finding that one perfect job. It's about constantly evolving, growing, and adapting to create a fulfilling and meaningful life.
It's about taking ownership of your journey and shaping your own future.
And as Mitchell reminds us, it's never too late to start. No matter where you are in your career or your life, there's always room for reinvention.
So go out there, embrace the challenge, and see what amazing things you can create.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
We'll see you next time.